Most men believe hobbies are distractions, something done after work, something casual, something optional, a way to pass time before the next obligation arrives. But for the Sigma male, hobbies are not entertainment. They are environments, carefully chosen inner landscapes where character is refined and strength is built without witnesses. A Sigma male does not choose activities to impress others or to signal status. He chooses them to sharpen himself in silence. He understands something rarely discussed, yet deeply powerful. What you repeatedly do in solitude reshapes your nervous system, recalibrates your decision-making, and slowly becomes your identity. While many men flood their free time with noise, endless scrolling, shallow stimulation, social validation, and dopamine on demand, the Sigma male treats leisure as a quiet form of self-engineering. He gravitates toward pursuits that reward patience, depth, and internal mastery, not because they look impressive, but because they compound over time. This is why Sigma males often appear calm under pressure, why they think in long horizons, and why they are rarely desperate for attention or approval. Their hobbies train them to sit with discomfort rather than flee it, to delay gratification instead of demanding immediate reward, and to extract meaning from repetition instead of novelty. These are not hobbies designed for applause or external recognition. They are disciplines designed for self-respect. Psychology consistently shows that men who engage in solitary, skill-based activities develop stronger emotional regulation, higher self-trust, and clearer boundaries because their sense of worth is internally anchored rather than externally negotiated. The Sigma male does not need constant stimulation because his inner world is already structured, purposeful, and demanding. He does not escape reality through his hobbies, he studies it through them, sharpening himself against friction, resistance, and time. What follows are 7 hobbies Sigma males are naturally drawn to, not because they are fashionable or popular, but because they align with a high-value masculine operating system that prioritizes autonomy, discipline, and inner authority. If you recognize yourself in these patterns, it is not coincidence. It is alignment, the quiet confirmation that your instincts are already guiding you toward a path built for long-term strength rather than short-term comfort. Point 1, solitary endurance sports. The Sigma male often finds a strange kind of peace in physical exhaustion. Unlike team sports that require coordination, social posturing, and the constant management of group dynamics, solitary endurance activities like long-distance running, cycling, or swimming offer a form of moving meditation. There is no one to compete with but his own previous limits. In the rhythmic thud of his feet on the pavement or the steady breath in the water, he finds a space where the world's noise fades away. It is a test of the mind as much as the body, a way to prove to himself that he can endure even when there is no one around to cheer. For the Sigma, the runner's high is not just a chemical release, it is a psychological cleansing. He values the solitude of the trail or the open road because it provides a rare opportunity for uninterrupted thought. While the rest of the world is distracted by notifications and social obligations, the endurance athlete is locked in a battle with his own central nervous system, learning to negotiate with pain and boredom. This builds a specific type of grit that carries over into his professional and personal life. He becomes a man who can stay the course when things get difficult, not because he wants the glory of the finish line, but because he has mastered the art of the journey. He understands that masculinity is often measured by what a man can survive in silence, When he is miles away from home with only his thoughts and his heartbeat for company, he is at his most authentic. There is no ego here, only the reality of the distance and the will to cover it. This hobby reinforces his independence, reminding him that his survival and his progress are entirely within his own control. It is the ultimate expression of the self-reliant spirit, a physical manifestation of the Sigma's internal drive to push beyond the boundaries set by others. Point 2, analytical strategy games. Whether it's chess, complex grand strategy, video games, or solving high-level puzzles, the Sigma male enjoys the exercise of the intellect in a vacuum. These hobbies allow him to simulate reality in a controlled environment where logic and foresight are the only currencies that matter. He enjoys the process of deconstructing a problem, identifying the moving parts, and executing a plan with patient precision. To him, these aren't just games. They are training grounds for his critical thinking and his ability to stay 3 steps ahead in life. The Sigma is naturally observant, and strategy games reward this trait. He finds satisfaction in the quiet calculation of risks, the weighing of various outcomes, and the eventual execution of a winning move that his opponent never saw coming. This hobby mirrors his approach to the world at large. He is a watcher, a planner, and a tactician. He doesn't feel the need to explain his moves or seek validation for his intelligence. The result speaks for itself. In the quiet theater of a chessboard or a complex simulation, he finds a sense of order that the real world often lacks. It is a form of intellectual rest, where the rules are clear and the meritocracy is absolute. This pursuit sharpens his patience, teaching him that the best results often come to those who can wait for the right moment to strike. It also reinforces his comfort with isolation, as the deepest calculations happen in the silence of his own mind. For the Sigma, the game is a reflection of his internal architecture, a structured, logical world where he is the master of his own fate. Point 3, craftsmanship and restoration. There is a profound satisfaction for the Sigma in taking something broken and making it whole, or taking raw materials and giving them form. This could be woodworking, restoring an old watch, or even coding a private piece of software. These hobbies are tactile and require deep focus. They allow him to disconnect from the digital noise and engage with the physical or logical laws of the universe. In the workshop or at the desk, he is the sole architect of his environment, finding pride in the quiet competence of his hands. This hobby speaks to the Sigma's need for autonomy when he is working on a project. He is not answering to a boss or following a committee's consensus. He is following the grain of the wood or the logic of the engine. There is a deep masculine heritage in craftsmanship, a connection to the men of the past who built the world with their own strength and ingenuity. The Sigma feels this connection deeply. He appreciates the honesty of physical work. You cannot lie to a piece of steel, and you cannot charm a piece of timber into fitting. It requires truth, precision, and a willingness to learn from failure. This process of trial and error, conducted in private, builds a rock-solid confidence that doesn't need external praise. When the project is finished, the Sigma doesn't necessarily need to show it off on social media. The reward is the object itself and the knowledge that he possessed the skill to create it. It is a testament to his self-sufficiency, tangible proof that he can provide for himself and manipulate his environment to suit his needs. Point 4, deep reading and philosophical study. While others might skim headlines or scroll through social feeds for instant hits of dopamine, the Sigma male is often found buried in a book. He is drawn to subjects that offer depth, philosophy, history, psychology, or even technical manuals. He seeks to understand the why behind the what. This hobby serves as a mental shield. By arming himself with the wisdom of the ages, he becomes less susceptible to the fleeting trends and emotional whims of modern society. His library is his fortress, and knowledge is his most trusted companion. The Sigma male understands that information is a form of power, but he doesn't use it to dominate others in conversation. Instead, he uses it to navigate the world with greater clarity. He is the man who can see the historical patterns repeating in modern politics, or the psychological archetypes playing out in his social circle. This depth of understanding gives him a calm, detached perspective that others often mistake for coldness. In reality, it is simply the peace of mind that comes from knowing. He spends hours in contemplation, weaving together the ideas of great thinkers with his own observations. This hobby reinforces his preference for quality over quantity. He would rather spend a month deeply digesting one difficult text than spend a day consuming 100 trivial articles. This intellectual rigor keeps his mind sharp and his spirit grounded. It allows him to exist in the world without being of the world, maintaining a mental independence that is the hallmark of the high-value man. Point 5, nature immersion and survival skills. The Sigma male has a natural, almost instinctive affinity for the wilderness because nature strips life down to its essential truths. Hobbies like solo hiking, bushcraft, or even quiet gardening are not escapes for him. They are acts of remembrance. In the wild, artificial hierarchies dissolve completely. Trees do not acknowledge status, and rain offers no respect for titles or achievements. This neutral environment forces the Sigma to rely solely on himself, sharpening his awareness and reconnecting him to a form of masculinity that predates modern validation. Learning to build a fire, read the terrain, or navigate by the stars is not recreational play. It is a silent confirmation of competence. It proves to him that his survival does not depend entirely on systems he did not create. When he is miles away from roads, notifications, and expectations, a distinct calm settles in. The constant noise of society fades, replaced by subtler signals, the direction of the wind, the pattern of footprints, and the slow shift of light through the trees. This heightened awareness is where the Sigma feels most grounded and alive. It is a return to his ancient role as observer, hunter, and protector, even if the only thing he is hunting is clarity. Survival skills appeal deeply to him because they represent the ultimate form of independence. A man who knows he can endure discomfort, scarcity, and uncertainty cannot be easily pressured or controlled. He carries an internal assurance that, if necessary, he could walk away from everything and still remain whole. This quiet self-sufficiency is the true foundation of the Sigma's unshakable presence. Nature becomes his temple, a place where all masks fall away and he exists simply, honestly, and completely as a man among the elements. Point 6, high fidelity, listening or instrument mastery. Music, for the Sigma, is rarely a performance meant for others. It is an inward journey, a private terrain where thought, emotion, and discipline quietly converge. While many people experience music as background noise or social currency, the Sigma approaches it with deliberate attention, often through high-fidelity audio systems that reveal textures most listeners never notice. He listens not casually, but actively, following the movement of instruments, the space between notes, the rise and fall of tension within a composition. In these moments, music becomes a form of meditation, a way to slow the mind and organize internal noise into something coherent and controlled. This inward relationship deepens when he plays an instrument. Whether it is the piano, the guitar, or a synthesizer, the act is never about applause or validation. It is a dialogue with himself. Each note becomes a thought expressed without language. Each progression, a method of translating emotion into structure. When words fail or feel unnecessary, music steps in as a more honest medium. The Sigma does not rush this process. He practices with patience, repeating simple patterns until muscle memory forms, finding quiet satisfaction in incremental progress. Music theory, scales, chord construction, and rhythm are not obstacles, but intellectual puzzles that appeal to his love of systems and underlying order. He notices what others overlook, the subtle bass line that changes the emotional weight of a song, the unresolved chord that creates tension, the silence that gives meaning to sound. This sensitivity mirrors how he navigates life, always attentive to what lies beneath appearances. Playing privately allows him a rare form of vulnerability. Alone, with no audience and no expectations, he permits emotion to surface safely. Frustration, longing, calm, and resolve all find release through sound, preventing these energies from stagnating inside him. The instrument becomes a stabilizing force, a pressure valve that maintains inner balance. Creation, in this context, is not productivity, but preservation. It is a quiet ritual performed away from the world, reinforcing self-sovereignty and emotional self-regulation. Over time, this private mastery adds depth to his character, shaping a man who is not loud but resonant, not expressive by excess, but by precision. Music does not make the Sigma visible, it makes him whole. Point 7, archiving and information curation. Lastly, many Sigma males enjoy the quiet hobby of curation. This could be collecting rare books, maintaining a digital archive of research, or even meticulous journaling. They have a natural inclination to organize chaos and preserve what is valuable. By curating information or objects, the Sigma creates a sense of order in an increasingly disorganized world. This hobby reflects his desire for stability and his long-term perspective, building a repository of value that he can return to whenever the world outside becomes too volatile. The Sigma is often a collector of useful things, tools, knowledge, or historical artifacts. He doesn't collect for the sake of hoarding. He collects to create a personal museum of significance. This process of selection and categorization requires a discerning eye and a great deal of patience. It is a slow, methodical hobby that rewards the man who can see the long-term value in something that others might discard. Journaling in particular is a common Sigma trait. It allows him to archive his own mind, tracking his growth and identifying the patterns in his own behavior. By looking back at his thoughts from years ago, he gains a perspective on his life that few others possess. He becomes the historian of his own journey, ensuring that no lesson is forgotten and no insight is lost. This archival mindset makes him a formidable person. He is a man who learns from the past to secure his future. It is the final piece of the puzzle, the quiet, diligent work of a man who is building a legacy for an audience of one. The hobbies of a Sigma male are more than just ways to pass the time. They are the bricks and mortar of his character. They are the quiet evidence of a man who does not need the world to tell him who he is. By choosing activities that prioritize mastery, reflection, and independence, he cultivates a life that is rich on the inside, even if it looks simple from the outside. True growth doesn't happen on a stage. It happens in the hours you spend alone, perfecting a craft that only you will ever truly appreciate. These 7 hobbies are the markers of a man who has found his center. He doesn't need the applause of the crowd to know his worth, because his worth is etched into the things he has built, the miles he has run, and the knowledge he has gathered. In the silence of his pursuits, he finds a clarity that the loud world can never offer. He is a man of depth, a man of competence, and above all, a man who's at peace with his own company. As you reflect on your own time, ask yourself, are your hobbies building you up, or are they just helping you forget? The Sigma knows the answer. He knows that every hour spent in solitude is an investment in the man he's becoming. Thank you for spending this time with us. If this resonated with you, consider subscribing to the channel to join our community of thinkers. Until next time, stay observant and keep walking your own path.